right. So there are vocational colleges in Thailand where, it's actually really popular to go to them because it's almost guaranteed to get a job straight out of getting your degree. You get the paper and then you get the job. And you're like, thank you for both of these. Let me enter the world. However, because of all these schools and because of the intensity of them, there happens to be also kind of like close-knit, sort of very tight communities that may be seeking out sort of rivalries, I guess, between different colleges. It's not needed, but it seems to happen. And for some reason, for whatever reason it's happening, these sort of rivalries did flare up recently, resulting in a gang, I don't want to say war, but a lot of gang violence between these two, or two or more sort of groups. The authorities, of course, broke up everything and they're trying to deal with it. And one way they're trying to deal with it is to send these people to boot camp, a type of boot camp to try to make them work with their rivals to create this sort of teamwork idea rather than rivalry idea. But this concept seems to be a bit too abstract for people to get, and they're not actually helping the violent outbursts at all. So police are now looking for new ways to curtail this, but to no avail yet. Yeah.
Well, in some ways, it reminds me of the kind of sort of bizarre tribal violence that exists in Britain with football hooliganism.
Oh,
I think, honestly, it's not that bad these days, but I think back in the 1980s, it's just football, it's just a game, but people used to get so sort of bound up into their little tribe of this is my team and we hate our neighbour team and other teams and it would break out into actual real violence. And
brawls everywhere.
Yeah, it was so silly, but I was kind of reminded of that. Again, it's schools, like why should schools be physically fighting one another? But tribalism.
Do you have any sort of school rivalries in Britain?
Oh, definitely.
Maybe not violent ones, but...
Yes, never seen anything violent, but sports competitions. You know, Oxford versus Cambridge in the boat race.
Sports competitions,
If they have, sports contests, or there's generally like different tiers of university. There's the Red Brick, which I guess is the Ivy League, and then there's the more vocationally focused ones. But they don't tend to compete against each other because it's like they're good at different things. Like there's Manchester University and Manchester Metropolitan University, but one is more vocational and artsy, the other is more sort of academic, red brick, traditional type. So there's not that much rivalry between us. But Manchester University versus Liverpool or Leeds, other northern towns with similar sort of rankings, it can get a bit competitive.
A lot of my dad is a lawyer here, Sue, your dad.
Yeah, it's high level people. High level.
Pop in the collar.
By high level, I mean people with a lot of brain power bickering at one another for no real reason. Yeah. You know, stupid.
I don't know if you're using high brain power correctly in that sentence.
I mean, academic types.
Yes.
Yeah, people who've studied a lot and probably have no ability to fight whatsoever.
Man, wouldn't you pay to see some people fight? You know what I mean? Like, I want to see them
versus
really fight.
professor.
Yeah. It's like those videos where there's like the two dogs like just barking and hating each other. Then they open the gate and they're like, they just walk away. It's like, oh, it's too real now. Now, here's a hard question, and you can always direct it back at me to stutter and fumble over. But what do you think the Thai government can do besides these boot camps to help this problem?
I think one of the things maybe that motivates schools to do this, to encourage the competition in their students, is in order to try and motivate them to do better. We have to do better than that other rival school next door. And it can be motivational, but I think that's not the only way to motivate students. So maybe stop doing that. Stop encouraging the competition, because I'm pretty sure they are.
There's a kind of feeling of that, isn't there?
Team spirit, but it's gone a bit too far.
And I don't know how much the government is involved with schools, but I know that there is government funding for a lot of schools in America. And I guess if they had some sort of gang violence, they could lose some of that funding. So the schools would be highly motivated to not have any fights. And also, I would say the simple solution, if these kids are fighting, either expel them from the school immediately or put them in jail. And have this sort of more strict way of going. I don't know how much I agree with that, but I think that would deter them quite quickly. Now, since we've gone over the sort of vocational academics of Thailand, let us go over our own academics of the vocabulary below, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Vocational.
Vocational.
Flare up.
Flare up.
Seek out.
Seek out.
Brawl.
Brawl.
Belligerent.
Belligerent.